Hi. We're talking about how to view the New Testament. Should we view it as a collection of legends and myths? And if you look at a lot of websites, which I did last night, that's exactly what they say, that it's just kind of a collection of myths. I read one website by a Muslim critic of the New Testament who said that it's kind of like the movie Zeitgeist, which claims that Christianity is just a collection of ancient fables recobbled into the first century. On the other hand, if the New Testament is what it claims to be, and this is really important, if the New Testament is what it claims to be, that is the product of eyewitness testimony, that's a game changer. Now, that doesn't mean eyewitnesses can't lie, but let me just give you a couple examples. The late Christopher Hitchens, who was a great critic of theism, belief in God, and of course, consequently, the Bible in general, the New Testament in particular, here's what he says about the New Testament. He says the New Testament was a work of crude carpentry, hobbled together, and here's the key, long after the events that it purported to record. In other words, generations passed, and then they remembered a little bit, and they were told a lot, and they made up some more, and they just put it together. And he says they cobbled it together in an attempt to make things come out right. Well, that's Christopher Hitchens. He's a journalist. He's a super smart guy. I learned a lot from reading his book, God Is Not Great. On the other hand, you have a New Testament scholar, Richard Balcom, who's arguably the leading New Testament scholar today. Maybe there would be some that, I don't think anybody would put him down on the list. He says in his book, Jesus and the Eyewitnesses, that the New Testament undoubtedly, irrefutably, was written shortly after, during the living memory of the events that they record. So it's exactly the opposite. And those two views represent the argument about form criticism. Where did the New Testament come from? So I want to make the case over several sessions that the New Testament was written by eyewitnesses. It is the recording of eyewitness testimony. We'll look at that from several aspects here. My question is, if the New Testament says that it's the product of eyewitnesses, and we'll read that as we close today, if it is claims to be eyewitness reports, why would anybody disagree with that? Well, a lot of it has to do with your worldview. Why would anybody think otherwise? If the New Testament claims to be eyewitness reports, why disagree? Well, I'm going to say the same thing. This is I think, interesting. It's the same argument used from my side and from the more liberal side as well. Here's what I say. You can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all the people some of the time. But you can't fool all the people all the time. Here's what it boils down to. One of the primary reasons, if not the primary reason, that some people think the New Testament must be legends recorded generations after is because it contains miracles. If it contains miracles and it was written during the lifetime of eyewitnesses, then the eyewitnesses would have known better. You see my point? So they think it can't have been written during the lifetime of the people that were there, because they would have known these miracles did not take place. Well, how do they know that? Because here's the worldview. Miracles cannot happen. They view that's a supernatural event. So if you are an anti-supernaturalist, if you're a materialist, if that's your worldview, of course miracles can't happen, so they must have been recorded generations later so nobody could refute them. You can't fool all the people all the time. Somebody's going to be a whistleblower if you try to record something that just happened and they were there to know better, all the way from the resurrection down to healing of the blind man. Now, I would say the opposite, but I agree. You can't fool all the people all the time. If we can show conclusively that the New Testament was indeed written during the lifetime of eyewitnesses and it records miracles, then those miracles gain a lot of credibility. Let me give you an example here. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus prophesied or predicted the fall of Jerusalem. Now, Jesus' ministry, he was crucified in 30 or 33, depending on which calendar you use, AD. So if, let's say, in 33 AD, he prophesied the destruction of Jerusalem, well, that event actually happened. There's no refutation about that. There's no dispute about it. It actually happened in 70 AD. Titus, the Roman general, came to Jerusalem. Interestingly enough, the Jewish historian Josephus was with him, and so we get a lot of recording of that, both from the Roman perspective and the Jewish perspective. And the city was sacked. The temple was completely torn down. If Matthew was written prior to 70 AD, prior to the event, then Jesus was a prophet. He could predict the future. That's not just a political prediction like, news pundits do today. That's a prophetic utterance from Jesus. Therefore, God must exist. But if God doesn't exist and that can't happen, then that must have been written after the fact. They couldn't have known to put those words in Jesus' mouth until after Jerusalem was destroyed. So what I hope you see here is that your worldview determines a lot of your interpretation. Well, I have no problem with the idea that God exists. If God exists, miracles can exist. And I think this is great evidence that it was recorded during the lifetime of the eyewitnesses. And Jesus really did make that prediction, make that prophecy. So I think this whole thing shows that it gains credibility for the New Testament, doesn't take it away. Thanks for listening.